Hello and welcome, all you awesome mech fans out there. How are you guys doing? This is going to be the most non-professional tutorial that I can possibly make for MegaMek. So, to the developers and all the hardworking people that worked on MegaMek and put their blood, sweat, and tears into this amazing community-driven project, I don't think I could do them or what they work on nearly the justice that they deserve, but I will do my best. A lot of people have been clamoring at me about getting this tutorial out, and I've been dragging my feet because I just feel like it's not going to be good enough, or I'm not going to be able to do them justice. Well, that time has finally arrived. We're going to be dealing tonight with our MegaMek tutorial series part 1, downloading, installing, and possibly more if we get to that point. I don't want to make these videos too long, but hopefully I'll get my point across. If anybody has any questions, you can always reach out to me on my email, which is on my Twitch page. You can whisper me on Twitch. You can try to contact me in the comments down below on YouTube, or you can get a hold of me directly on our Discord server, and there's a link to that as well on my Twitch page as well. So without further ado, I suppose we should just get right back into things, or get into things, I should say. I'm not going to be reading chat for this live stream, and this is going directly to YouTube. I have disabled all the alerts and all the sounds going forward. I'm hoping to get this tutorial parts done at least once a week moving forward, so that way I can, for lack of a better term, spoon feed the people that need help with MegaMek over the course of several weeks, if not several months. And hopefully we'll get to a part for you experienced veterans out there that will find even a small piece of information that I give out on this weekly tutorial thing useful. But like I said, let's dive right into things so we can figure out this whole thing called MegaMek, shall we? All right, so here we have the megamek.org website. If you don't know what MegaMek is, then you have found this video by accident. But MegaMek is a Battletech tabletop simulator. For lack of a better term, it simulates the different rules and different rule mechanic interactions for the tabletop game Battletech. There are subtle nuances and unofficial rules and all sorts of stuff baked into it, but for lack of a better term, it is Battletech in essence. Some of you may agree with me, some of you may disagree with me. That's a topic for a completely different time. Anyway, if you go to megamek.org, it will take you directly to this website that you're looking at right here. Here you can check on the different things that they're tied into, their community, questions, all sorts of awesome stuff. But the thing I want to touch on the most is the installation section located up here at the top of the website. And here it teaches you how to install Java, which I can't stress this enough. The correct Java version is the most important step that you could ever take into getting your copy of MegaMek to function properly on any machine. But for the purposes of this tutorial, we will be installing this on a Source 64-bit architecture Windows machine running Windows 10. If you're running a Mac or you're running a Linux, your installation may be slightly different. And that's where this lovely page comes into play. And you can go to it and it will give you all the various information on how to install MegaMek for your specific operating system. I don't want to dive too deep on how to do it, but basically you're going to want to go to the Adoptium website and download Open JDK11 or JDK11, and we're going to take a look at that just for a brief moment. Here, let me pull it up. There we go. And here we have Adoptium. The Adoptium website, I believe, is adoptium.net. And you can go there and you can get the OpenJDK binaries. If you're looking for a specific version of JDK, one that works specifically with the current development of MegaMek, you're going to want JDK 11, not the latest LTS release, which is JDK 17. For some strange reason, MegaMek does not play nice with 17 yet, as of the date of this recording. So your mileage may vary. Please keep an eye on the website or join the MegaMek Discord, and you can ask the developers there to kind of fill you in on what's going on with that. But for the meantime, we're going to look into downloading JDK 11. So we can go and click on other platforms and versions. And here it will ask you for the architecture. So for us, it would be operating system or running Windows, architecture 64-bit. 9 times out of 10 modern day computers are going to be 64-bit. If you're one of the unlucky few that is still running a 32-bit architecture computer, my condolences. There are laptop users and machines out there that do still run on 32-bit architecture. It is still possible to run it on a 32-bit JDK release. But for the purposes of this tutorial, we have a 64-bit architecture. You're going to want the JDK package, that's by default, and you're going to want to set this to version 11, not 17, 11. And by filtering all of those drop downs, it should present you with this little window right here that says JDK 11. And it's Windows 64-bit, and you can either do the MSI download or you can download the zip file and do the installation manually. I like making Windows do all the work for me. So typically I would click on this and download it and install it. Now, this all comes with a caveat, an extreme caveat, and I cannot stress this enough because this is the problem that creeps up 9 times out of 10 when people are updating their Java for use with MegaMek. You must uninstall all older versions of Java. Typically 9 times out of 10, if you've run a Java program in the past, whether it be Minecraft or some other outlandish Java program, you probably have Oracle version 8, possibly 9. I'm not privy to all of those versions. That being the case, you need to uninstall those older versions of Java. By installing version 11 of this Adoptium JDK Open JDK version of Java, you are not going to make it impossible for you to play those games, but in order to use MegaMek, you will have to have this version. Now, if you're a super user, like some of us are out there, and you know how to switch between versions on your operating system, and there is a way to do it, I'm not going to go over that. That's more advanced tech. You can swap between those versions in the background on your operating system so that you don't lose your older version of Java if you need to have it. So there is a way to swap back and forth. It's a slight headache, but 9 times out of 10, anything that works on Java 8 from Oracle easily works on Java 11 at this time. I believe Minecraft works off of Java 17 from OpenJDK from Adoptium. I'm not sure. I'm not privy to all that, but that's not what we're talking about. Anyway, so that gets all of that downloaded and taken care of, and we have updated our version of Java. Now, where do we go next? Well, I'm glad you asked. So we head back to the megamek.org website. Yeah. And let me just get this switched over. And we're like, all right, we've installed Java. Everything is groovy. Now what, Joker? Here, you go to the download section, and now you have to make a choice. Do you want to run the latest stable version of MegaMek, or do you want to run the latest development of MegaMek? It's not a huge choice, but it can sour some people's experience with MegaMek. My general rule of thumb is if you have no idea what MegaMek is, or you're very new to it, and or this series, you're going to probably want to go with stable. For the purposes of this tutorial, so that we can show off as many features as we possibly can through the tutorial series, we're going to be showing off development version 49.7 as of this date. I know it says there development 49.8, but it's the one I've grown the most accustomed to currently, and it's the one that I'm going to be using to show off the various other features that have been inserted into MegaMek going forward from stable 48. Actually, some significant changes, if I might add. So that's what we're going to go with. So if we were to go with, say we wanted to download stable or development, there are various other programs here that you can look into, and I will be going over those in future tutorial parts in this series. But the one that we're going to concentrate on the most is MegaMek. That's the core program. That's the one that you or your friends or whoever is going to be utilizing the most during this entire thing. And we'll be discussing MegaMek first before we move into the more advanced programs like MekHQ, MegaMek Lab, and so forth. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to downloads. You're going to download whether you want stable or development, whether you have Windows or Linux or Mac OS, and you're going to download that program. And then you're going to install it. And then I'm going to show you what you're greeted with when you finally get around to having it installed. And I don't have this stuff pre-set up because I suck, but we're just going to roll with it. Funny enough, I loaded MekHQ and not MegaMek. That was real smart, Joker. Way to go. Pro tutorial streamer right here, you know. Okay. So I don't want to show off my desktop, but I think I might have to. Nah, I don't want to. Anyway, you're going to be greeted with a loading screen for MegaMek. Actually, I might be able to get away with just showing off the window, but we'll see here. Do I have a window display? I do. Score. Aha. Dope. All right. Hey, it worked. All right. On the fly stuff. No, not that screen. Good Lord. All right. So when you first load up MegaMek, you're going to be greeted with this screen right in the middle of your desktop. And you're like, Joker, what's all this? Well, that's what I'm here for. All right. So obviously, it's your atypical window. Your eyes are going to be instantly drawn to the major, massive battle picture right here, courtesy of the lovely people at MegaMek. I believe this picture was done by Spooky from DeviantArt, but don't quote me. But this looks just amazing. He did an excellent job. But off to the right here is what you're going to be concerned with the most. Here we have MegaMek, the version, and here's the number. And then down below that are the buttons that are going to be the most important. The ones you're going to want to concentrate on the most are probably these top 3 buttons here. Possibly this one. The rest of these you can look at and mess with in your leisure, but they're not nearly as important to actually playing the game. So up here we have start a new game, which what it says on the tin, load a save game in case you were in the middle of something and you had to rush off and take care of something. start a scenario. There are pre-built scenarios that you can play in MegaMek. They are far and few between, but I believe the developers are looking to adding more in the near future. And then if, like, say you and a friend want to play against the bot, which there is one, or you want to play against each other, there is Connect to a game. And we'll be going over networking and all of that stuff in a later tutorial for MegaMek, so I can teach you how to host a game of MegaMek on your computer and have you and your friends join you from wherever they are in the world to go play big stompy robots. And then obviously we have Connect as a bot, so you can actually hook a bot into your games in case you and your friends want to get together and play big stompy robots and stomp the bot into the ground. Or perhaps you want a little ally with you to help you out for your first time out to go stomp on another bot, and you can have a bot ally. The choices in this department are endless, but you get the idea. And then below that, you have a map editor, a skin editor, and then obviously the quit button. These buttons up here, I wouldn't really worry about right now. These are the ones that you're going to be concerned with the most on this screen. And then we will go into start a new game. And obviously this will pop up and it's your name, server password, the port that you use, whether you want to register the game on server browser. If you're starting up a local game, you don't have to worry about this. None of this at all. Really, if you want to, you can change your name to whatever the default name is there. Like, for example, I would use Joker, or whoever else wants to do their thing. But for now, we'll just use Joker. All right, and then basically all you got to do is hit OK. I don't think that showed up on the screen. Dang it. But there's a pop-up, just hit OK, change your name and hit OK. It's not that difficult. Okay, so after you've done all of that, you will be greeted with this lovely screen right here. And let me just turn off display capture. Oh, window capture. There we go. And here it will be a absolute nightmare as to making any sense out of this. Trust me, I understand where you're coming from. Everybody's there at that point. We're going to be going through this in more detail, starting with part 2 of our tutorial series. But I kind of want to just briefly touch on some things for people that are new and that just want to get in, get started, and start stomping some robots. Or at least to get their lobby set up to get going to stomp on robots. If you're familiar with the BattleTech rules, when you finally get into a drop, it may be more simple than you think. For those that have never played BattleTech, it may be a little jarring and you're like, I have no idea what the hell is going on. Like I said, those details will be coming in part 2 of this tutorial series. All right, so obviously you're greeted with this big window right here. This is where all the units go. So say, for example, I needed some mechs. So up here, we can click on Add a Combat Unit, and you're greeted with this window, and you're like, what the heck is this? Well, let me see if I can break it down as simplified as I possibly can. Up here, we have the type of unit, and in MegaMek, you can run mechs, obviously, tanks, battle armor, infantry, proto-mechs, VTOLs, vertical takeoff and landing, naval units, gun emplacements, conventional fighters, aerospace fighters, my personal favorite, small craft, drop ships, jump ships, warships, and even space stations and support vehicles. But we're going to go with mechs for now. Under that, you'll see weight class. Weight class determines whether it's a light mech, or a medium mech, or a heavy mech, or an assault mech, or for you crazy people out there, ultra assault mechs, or a super heavy mechs. That's what they're called. But we're going to go with medium. Okay, below that, you'll see type. Now, this may confuse some people, but I'll try to break it down a little more here. You'll see IS introductory box set, and then you'll see non-box set, Clan TW, IS advanced. These are different tech levels that MegaMek recognizes to determine what it needs to list, what units it needs to list of that type and that weight class in this window right down below it. For the purposes of this tutorial, we have selected everything but unofficial. So we have access to IS technology and clan technology in this list. Now, when you hover your mouse over this list and you scroll down, and you will scroll down, there is a lot of chassis and variants located in this list. So here you'll see chassis, models, their weight, their battle value, for those of you that are familiar with Battletech, their year of introduction, their price and C-bills, and their level. The level doesn't really come into play too much when it comes to newer editions of Battletech, if I'm not mistaken, Battletech Total Warfare. But for those of you that use older versions of Battletech, such as Classic Battletech and so forth, or the Battletech Master Rules, that prefer those rules over the newer ones, there is the level column here for level 1, level 2, and even level 3 technology, and it classifies them accordingly here. So, say we're looking for my personal favorite MegaMek, a Hunchback. So if we scroll all the way down to the H's here, we can find where the Hunchback is located. And here we find a lot of Hunchbacks. So here's the chassis for the Hunchback, and there's a lot of them. Now we're looking for the one with the big AC-20 in the shoulder, the Hunchback 4G, the one I love using. So we're going to look through this tiny list here, and here it is, the Hunchback HBK 4G. So if we click on that, it will highlight it in the summary section located on the right. It'll give you a little sprite model based upon the skin that you've picked. You haven't picked a camo, it will default to the color of the camo that you currently have. And here it'll go through the various different parts of the mech, the level, the year that it was introduced, the tech rating, the weight, the battle value, the cost and C-bills, so forth and so on, the internal structure and armor points, the various weapon systems and ammo and where they're located and how much heat they generate, any quirks they possess, and possibly an overview, capabilities, deployment, and background on said unit. Also, you'll notice a little tab next to summary called TRO. For those of you that are familiar with Battletech, Technical Readout. This gives you a technical readout display in plain English of the mech that you have selected on the left panel. So let's say, yeah, I'm pretty happy with this unit. This one works for me. I think I want the Hunchback 4G. So we go down to the bottom of the screen here and we see select and close, my name, because I'm the only one in the player list, and show BV calculation. This button isn't exactly used that often, if I've ever used it, so you can ignore that for now. But for the sake of the tutorial, we'll click on it. Here's the breakdown calculation of how the BV is calculated for the Hunchback 4G. Gives you all of the details that you could ever want for this mech. So we have the Hunchback 4G selected. It's on me because I'm the only player in the player list. We're going to hit select and close, and it closes the window and it adds the Hunchback. And over here in the players window, you'll see that I'm on team 1, and the BV for the Hunchback has been added to my BV total. Over here in the main window, you'll see the Hunchback has been added with a random pilot, with a random skill rating for me on team 1, and here's its battle value. It just shows its ID number, how much it weighs, and then the title of the unit here. Now, if you so choose, you can change this. You can change it to just unit ID. You can change it to unit and name, unit type, player tonnage. You can sort it however you see fit. You can also do that with the pilot, the player, and the BV. Also over here at the very top, you'll see sortable view. These are sorting filters at the top, just like if you were looking at an XML document. Also at the top, you'll see force view. It'll show the different forces in the different folders. So if I had 4 mechs or a lance of mechs, I could place them in a lance folder, and then you could double click the folder and it would show all 4 mechs in that lance. Or if you wanted to, you could go to compact display and it would get rid of the picture and the pilot and all that stuff, and it would just have one single line per unit to show you in a compact manner. I kind of like this screen here personally. And also you can turn on and off IDs as you see fit. All right, next, we're going to go over this little chunk of window here, and then we'll go over select map and team viewer, and I think we'll be done. So at the very top, you'll see game year and tech level. These can be changed. All you got to do is go into game options. Oh boy, there are a lot of game options. I'm not going to go through them all. If you want to know what a game option does, all you got to do is hover your cursor over it and it will give you a pop-out. That pop-out may not last long enough for you to read the whole thing, but if you just move your cursor away, put it back on the checkbox, it will pop up again and you can read the rest of it accordingly. There are a lot of game options. Don't be shy about manipulating the game options in your game. Do not be shy about that. Look through it, play with it, turn options on and off how you see fit. Some players like certain options on, some players like certain options off. It's whatever you and your friends are comfortable with at the time. But if you want, and you don't want to mess with any of the game options, there are already options set in place that are automatically either turned off or turned on by default. And I guarantee you, the game will work just as intended, whether you mess with this, you edit the game options or not. If you want to, there's also some quick options, like say, we're diehard Battletech players and we don't use unofficial options. Well, that's okay. You can click that and you can turn all of the unofficial options off. Or we don't use legacy options either. Well, that's great. You can click on that and turn all of the legacy options off. It's totally up to you. And say a friend of yours is playing his very own version of MegaMek, or he's hosting, and you're like, man, I really wish I didn't have to remember all those game options. Well, you don't have to. Here, you can hit save, and you can name it whatever you want, and you can save that, and then you can take that game options XML file right there, and you can email it to a friend or send it to them on Discord. It's extremely small, and it's extremely fast to transfer over the internet, or you could throw it on a Google Drive or however you see fit. But you can pass out those game options to other players and other hosts so that they can use the options that your group's comfortable with if they so choose. All right. So now that we're done with game options here, up next we have add a combat unit. I believe we briefly touched on this, but say we want a second mech. Okay. We go back to the screen. We look for, let's look for the penultimate assault mech, the Atlas. Well, this is in, obviously, according to this little arrow here under chassis, is in alphabetical order, and Atlas starts with A. So if we go all the way to the top, and we scroll down just a hair, there should be an Atlas in here. Oh, no, there's not, because we're set to medium. We have to set the weight class to assault. There they are. Good old Atlas. So we'll go with the Atlas D. Pretty formidable mech. And if we look here, it's got 304 points of armor, plenty of heat sinks, not that fast, and a lot of firepower. We'll come down here, we'll hit select and close, and now we have an Atlas, and that's been portrayed in the added battle value to my player window as well. So these values have been added together to show the total BV for that player. All right, under that we have create a random army. I'm just going to briefly go over that, but if you want to know more, you guys can let me know in on Discord or via email or however you want to communicate, and you can be like, hey, I'd really like to go over more of that create random army button, and we can if you want, but for now I'm just going to glaze over it because it's got a lot of different things you can do with it. You can make forces, you can build formations, you can generate based upon faction and command and unit type and year, or you can generate off the various rat tables located in it, depending upon the year or the timeline that you're playing in, or possibly just do BV matching with the tech type, and it'll fill in over here accordingly. Under that, you load a unit list, which is from a MUL file or master unit list file, and you can save units that you have on your lobby, and you can hand that MUL file to a friend and they can load it in on theirs. Bear in mind, MUL files usually only respect mechs or units that come default with MegaMek. They will not recognize custom builds made in the MegaMek lab. The only time that they will recognize those custom builds or custom units is if you also send that unit and it is also installed on that person's machine in their installation of MegaMek as well. So bear that in mind. We can save the Hunchback and the Atlas as a unit list as well, and that saves it as an MUL file. We can also change the names on our pilots. We can base it on faction, or the percentage of their gender, or historical ethnicity, or we can randomize it, or we can save it, or we can do whatever we want. I genuinely, when I'm playing MegaMek, I don't mess with this because I really don't care what their name is. All I want to do is get to the big stompy robots and shoot things. So this button is usually ignored. Down below that, we have a very important panel that some of you will have to use called the player setup. Here, you can choose your team. You can configure your player, where their deployment area is, if they have any initiative modifiers, which I usually leave at 0. And the method of rolling for their pilot skills, whether they're using a total warfare, the Tarhaka, the constant, the modified constant, their pilot type, their skill level, and obviously you can have the round report emailed, yes, emailed to a specific email address if you're playing this over email. And yes, you can play MegaMek over email. So you can take your turn, save it, email it to your friend, then they can take their turn, save it, and send it back to you, and back and forth. It's almost like internet chess or email chess back in the old days. I don't know if any of you remember that. So there's the player settings there. Over here, we have the camouflage picker. So as you'll see, my Hunchback and my Atlas are pretty drab and blue. So let's spice them up here. Through the camo select camo pattern window, you can select hundreds, if not thousands, I'm going to say safely hundreds, of different camos based upon background, Battletech lore, throughout the entire ages. Some of them you could use as generic or standardized camo, as seen here in the standard camouflage folder. But I think for the purposes of this tutorial, and I do say that a lot, I'm kind of biased. I think we'll take The Fist of Taurus, Hand of Styre camo. Yeah. Now they look good. All right. So they have a camo. We have Max. We have our player. But we have nobody to play against. Glad you asked. There's an easy way to solve that problem. Up here, under Configure Player, we can do Add Bot. The bot that is supplied with MegaMek is traditionally referred to as Princess. Princess is the bot for MegaMek. Do not underestimate Princess, ever. She is very evil, very decisive, and if you do not keep your guard up, she will wreck you in a heartbeat. Using Princess as a bot to fight against is not for the faint of heart. She will definitely teach you how to play MegaMek over the course of spanking you drop after drop after drop after drop. Might be good to bring some friends along to co-pilot some of these mechs along with you. But I digress. To add a bot, or to add Princess, or a bot, to your drop, you simply hit Add Bot, and you're greeted with this window. Defaults to the name Princess. You can change her behavior. You can change her behavior through a preset here listed on the left. You can save your own presets. You can choose whether she uses force withdrawal, to what edge, auto-fling the board, to what edge, and possibly any strategic targets that you would like her to go after specifically. Like, say, you want her to try to assassinate one of your specific mechs. But, like I've always said before, for this tutorial, we're just going to leave her default. So we'll hit OK, and Princess is now added to the player board. Down below here, you'll see Princess, hi, I'm a bot client. Now you have a bot. But the bot doesn't have any units. We can fix that. Or a camo. You just select her in the player options. Go to add a combat unit. And let's give Princess, I don't know, a dire wolf. There we go. So you'll select like you've always done before with the Atlas and the Hunchback, except this time at the bottom of the screen, you'll see that the player drop-down is lit up. You'll click on that and you'll see Princess's name, or whatever your bot is called, in the drop-down. Select her name and hit Select and Close. Now Princess's unit has been added to her team, Team 2, and her BV has been added to her as well for the Direwolf pilot. And just like before, you can change her camo as well. So we'll change her camo, since she is in a clan mech, to a clan camo. And I'm kind of personally fond of Ghost Bear, Kappa Galaxy, so we'll go with that for now. After doing that, Princess's Direwolf has now the appropriate camo, is on the appropriate team, and I think we're ready to go. One last note here before I end this portion of the tutorial series. You can change the start of where you start on the map, and everybody starts 3 hexes in, depending upon which side of the map you deploy on, whether it's north, south, east, west, or one of the corners, or even the center. But you will start 3 hexes in from that edge. You can also access all of these options up here in the player setup by right-clicking on that player after highlighting them. So here we have player settings. I can assign myself to Princess's team or any of the other teams that are available, and I can change my deployment area. Let's say I'm going to deploy east. And by that definition, we're going to change Princess's start deployment area to west. Like that. So now I will start on the east side of the map, 3 hexes in, and Princess will start on the west side of the map, 3 hexes in. We will both deploy on our respective turns, and the drop will basically commence. And we'll go into further details later on in the series about that. A couple last things I want to go over just briefly for this portion of the tutorial is the select map. There are tons of maps that you can pick from. You can have multiple maps. You can have maps hooked together. You can have different maps hooked to other maps to make bigger maps. You can have randomly generated maps. You can have pre-made maps. There are so many maps that come with MegaMek. I cannot go after all of them. But if you do find a map that looks really cool, like, oh, this is a volcano, that's awesome, let's play on that. Left click, hold, and drag to where the example board is, and drop it by letting go of left click, and it drops it into your active map window. Then here, what you can do is you can go, wow, that looks really boring as a preview. Let's check out the actual map. You can click on Preview Game Map located here, and you can look at the actual map. Whoa, lava, cool. Let's play that one. And that's it. You can save your map setup, you can load a map, you can do all sorts of fun stuff. We can go into this in more detail if anybody wants to, but for now, for the purposes of this tutorial, I'm just glazing over it. Okay, last but not least, we have the team overview. This basically gives you an idea of units, cost, tonnage, BV, if there's any hidden units, how many units of what type are on each team, what teams there are, and who's on whose team. Pretty simple. There's a little button here. You can detach the window if you so choose. It's totally up to you. This is a pretty simple window to read, but this kind of gives you a team overview of what's going on in your lobby. But 9 times out of 10, you're going to probably be in the select units window for all of this. So I think that's it for part 1 of the MegaMek tutorial. Part 2, we're going to probably be going over more in-game UI features, probably shoring up any questions that anybody has. Part 2 will be recorded next week, and we're going to be doing this on a week-to-week basis. So we, if you guys have any questions between weeks, please feel free to reach out. Like I said, via an email, Twitch Whisper, or join us on our Discord. It's Filthy Casual Discord server. Or you can make a comment down below the video, and I will do my best to try to answer it as soon as I possibly can, or somebody else will, hopefully. But that's it. That's all I got for this tutorial. Thank you guys for hanging out with me and watching this video, and I am live streaming this. I'm just not looking at chat, so for those of you that were trying to talk to me in chat, I'm terribly sorry. That's the only way I can concentrate on these type of things. So thank you guys once again, and I hope to see you for part 2, but until then, this is Casual Joker signing off. Thank you guys. I'll see you next time. Peace.